Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I'm Kellen Brauer, joined by Phillips. 15 rounds of Supercross have come and gone. We have only got 2 rounds remaining left in this championship, which is already kind of crazy to think about. But, man, first time in Pittsburgh this past weekend at Acrisure Stadium since 1983, I guess, is the last time we were in the Pittsburgh area, but first time ever in this stadium. The venue was pretty packed. It was cool to see, despite the weather being a little bit muggy and wet through parts of the weekend, but we had a great race, good stuff to talk about, and overall kind of cool to be in Pittsburgh for the first time. Right, Big Lou?
Yeah, I would agree. To a degree, every Supercross does feel the same, but it's still nice to go to a new venue where there's some excitement, big crowd, big ticket sales. Before the fans were let in, from the press box, you could see them lining up around the perimeter of the stadium, so that's cool. And yeah, Pittsburgh gets a big thumbs up. I think Pittsburgh is a nice motivation, inspiration that Supercross can go to new markets and succeed and prosper.
Yeah, are you surprised a little bit, and not a topic, but are you surprised that the other Northeast swing rounds so far have not produced the crowd that this one did?
Well, I guess this is the culprit, isn't it? I think people are blaming it on this one.
But that's kind of weird because this one, I mean, it's still East Coast time, but it falls more like sort of getting closer to the central part of the U.S., and so it could pull fans from Ohio and Indiana and Tennessee easier than the Northeast rounds, which could pull from all those ones up there.
I'm not your resident expert on American geography and stuff like that, so I can't comment on that. All I can say is I think Pittsburgh blew the others out of the water from initial ticket sales, so I feel like all eyes were on Pittsburgh, less so the other venues.
Yeah, it is interesting that the disparity of the crowd really was insane, and it was really cool that like it was such a packed house. It was pretty loud. Like in our position, we end up in a press box that's usually quiet, but like we could hear the crowd during qualifying, during opening ceremonies. They were very loud when AP came in, of course, and other riders, and then yeah, even like during the race, I feel like I could actually hear them, which we don't really get past Anaheim-ish.
When I went on Race Day Live and I flashed up on the big screen, did the crowd roar then? Obviously, I had a headset on, so I couldn't hear. But presumably, there was a roar and mass celebration.
Well, when you went on Race Day Live, I was in the tunnel, and
wow, just fuck Lewis, I guess.
I could not hear very much of the crowd from the tunnel, so
okay,
unfortunately, I don't have a good synopsis of that. So
okay, well, what a lame answer to a joke question.
But how was your Race Day Live performance?
I did terrible.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I did terrible. I'm really unhappy with what I did. The first one was unexpectedly good, and I think I put too much pressure on myself, and I don't know. I'm not happy. I'm in a bad run at the moment, Kellen. The MXGP podcast last week was terrible because of me, not because of Adam. My press day interviews were terrible. My post-race interviews were terrible. I was terrible on Race Day Live. We'll see how this goes, but it's not exactly looking promising from my side.
Well, I'm proud of you that you can admit this. I will say, though, if I'm your manager here, what I would say is in the future, if they ask you to call a section of practice,
yes,
they're not too familiar with, decline.
I can talk about futures.
But I mean that was probably like that threw you for a curveball because you knew some of the things you were going to be talking about, and then they said, "Hey, hang around," and you were like, "Oh."
No, actually, to be honest, the first time I was very much like I had a kind of itinerary of what. This time it was very much free for all. I knew that they were going to mention me being at Baker's, and that was it.
Okay.
But I'm good at it. I like doing it. I like it that way. I'd rather just go with the flow rather than overthink it or whatever.
As I've said to you before, I'm very proud of you for representing us well on Race Day Live, as you are the only person of LVK.
I did it well. I mean, the jury's out, but in my opinion, I didn't do it well.
I mean, I'm sure the fans are excited to see Big Lou back in again.
Fucking
goodness.
Let's just see if this goes better. But already, this has been a terrible start.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say from my side, I was not feeling it this weekend, coming into the weekend. My travel issues getting there in the first place pissed me right off. I was just in a bad mental space. And even, still coming off of Jerry's crash from the weekend before, that didn't really help either. I was still pretty bummed. And then Max Vohland gets a podium. I was much happier. But I will say that overall, a somber feel from this weekend, not just from the Jerry thing or anything along those lines, but also, big thoughts and prayers down south in Australia as Joel Evans lost his life yesterday in the Australia motocross race at Gilman. So prayers to all his, family and friends, and obviously everyone down there in the paddock down there. When I heard the news, I was pretty bummed on that too. So it's been a rough couple weeks for our sport. Sad deal that, Joel loses his life, and hopefully everyone can gather around the family down there and everything like that. But yeah, brutal.
Yeah, tough go for the sport lately. But of course, it all pales in comparison to the Joel situation, because that is the worst of the worst, and we haven't really had to deal with that here as of late. So yeah, not good for anyone. And as you said, thoughts to everyone in Australia. Good little community in Australia.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, what I have seen so far, that if there's, again, it sucks to say this is a positive to take from it, but there's been so much interaction just from the moments of him being announced as passed, that riders and teams and everyone has come together and offered sympathy and condolences and stuff like that. And it's obviously a brutal time down there, but it seems like the community is going to come together very well down there. And we're thinking about our Australian friends and the families involved down there as well. So, somber note to start the podcast again today. I apologize for that, but just wanted to let the Aussies down there know that we're thinking about them, and, hope things will feel better soon, because that's a tough one for sure. Okay, so let's get into our show here today. If you've never been with us before, we deep dive 6-ish topics and give them about 7 to 10 minutes apiece each. We'll tell you guys about Leatt, Partzilla, Race Tech, and Namura throughout the show as well. So let's jump in, shall we? Okay, Lewis, my first topic of the day, pretty simple, really. Is this the most clutch ride of Cooper Webb's career?
Jeez, I wish you'd prepared me for that. Nothing else springs to mind, although maybe it's recency bias. That Foxborough last lap was fairly clutch.
Yeah.
But that's a lap. But then technically the lap made the entire race for him.
Yeah. The reason why I bring this up is because his 2 championship years in the past, although one of them went to the final round, I believe. Then he clinched one early, and the other one went to the final round, if memory serves me right. But at no point did I feel like there was a crescendo building in the opposite direction, that someone was going to knock him off the pedestal. Like, he had it relatively under control those 2 title years. This one, obviously, it was hanging in the balance. Chase could win out, and it would give Chase the title. The only other one that comes to mind for me as most clutch performance is Webb riding with a broken wrist at the 2016 Las Vegas finale, when Joey won in the mud and Webb needed to hold on with a broken wrist and did so to win the title by 2 points, I believe. That's the only other time I can think of that he did something that people thought he maybe couldn't do and won a title. But this one, it was insane.
Yeah, I think that Vegas thing is a different sort of clutch, though, isn't it? I don't think you can put that in the same category. That's more salvaging something. Whereas this came at a time when it was very much of paramount importance. I think we're all agreed that Chase will be better in Denver and Salt Lake. I think Webb was fairly aware of that as well. From knowing what I know, I think that there was a lot of work done at the Star facility in the week leading up to Pittsburgh. It wasn't just, we're good, let's proceed as normal. He mentioned a shock change. He was working on the whoops. I think East Rutherford maybe not woke him up a little bit, but made him kind of think, okay, I really need to pull something off here. Otherwise, this could slip through the cracks.
One thing I will say, or you got to follow up to that. One thing I will say about the Sexton versus Webb dynamic in this race that I want to just make poignantly clear is, to me, this race felt very much like the same things that we echoed at Seattle. When Chase lost that race, I think everyone kind of was like, okay, Webb didn't, it's not like Sexton blew that. Webb was just better, or that was just 2 heroic rides for 2 guys that are titans of our sport, and someone had to lose. To me, that almost feels this way again this week. Yes, Chase needed to win this race, I think he had chances that he could have won that race, but Webb just, everything else be damned, figured out a way to do it again. And it wasn't like Chase like totally lost this race. I think Webb just flat out was what Cooper Webb is.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this race falls under the same category as Seattle as good job, boys. No one really fucked this one. You both rode brilliantly, and what a race. I think if Chase had started first and Webb had started second, I think it could have been a very different outcome as well, because I don't think the passing was necessarily easy on that track. And actually, although Chase stopped skimming, he was skimming early on. So had Chase started first, I could see him skimming the whoops early and actually building a bit of an advantage and then having that buffer, maintaining that buffer the rest of the way. So it wasn't the best track for passing. We know that. There wasn't a lot to do different out there. So I do think if it had started in a different order, then it would have been a different outcome. But equally, getting the start is a clutch element as well. Pressure's on, you've got to deliver, and Webb came out the first turn at the front. That in itself deserves its flowers.
Part of why I think that this race deserves so much credit from Coop's side in terms of like a clutch aspect is because of what happened the week before in East Rutherford. Are you as shocked as I am in that the turnaround happened that dramatically, that quickly? Like on some degree, I would have thought he'd be better this week. I don't know that I would have thought he would be that much better. Like to me, that was a massive improvement from what we saw at East Rutherford.
Well, I don't have the answer to this, and I would be interested to ask both Webb and Chase this. Was Webb really that much better than East Rutherford, or was Chase not as good as East Rutherford?
To me, I think it's the former. I believe that Webb was much better.
Of course, he was better to a degree.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think that Chase, to me, other than the mistake he made in the whoops, looked much different than what we saw in East Rutherford. Obviously, the blitzing was the difference. But the rest of the track, I think Chase was pretty comfortable. He made a couple small mistakes that I don't think I saw at East Rutherford, but I don't think that the gap that he built on Webb last week wouldn't have happened this week if Webb was as bad in the whoops this week as he was at East Rutherford.
No, see, I certainly agree that Webb was better than East Rutherford, but I certainly don't think that Chase looks as good as he did in East Rutherford. Not even close. He just seemed to be a bit off all day to a degree. The second qualifying session was good, but the heat race wasn't. The first time session, he wasn't on top. I mean, he was close. I feel Chase certainly didn't seem to have the same brilliance as he did in East Rutherford. But I do still think Webb was better than East Rutherford, but I also think it was Webb moving up and Chase moving down to kind of meet where they did.
Yeah, I mean, it was very strange. Chase Sexton's heat race was not good. But even in the press conference afterwards, what I thought was interesting about that is in the past, if he had that type of night and the heat race was as detrimental maybe as his night ended up being, I feel like he would beat himself up about that, and he kind of laughed the heat race off in the press conference. Like when it was brought up, he was like, yeah, that was terrible. I don't know what I was doing out there. Or in the past, he'd be like, honestly, I need to be better, or whatever. Like you could see it in his tone a little bit.
Yeah, Jacob even said to me that, I don't know when, but at some point in the tunnel before the main event, maybe, Chase went up to him and was like, wow, you were flying. I can't believe how fast you were in the corners. That's quite...
Yeah.
Which is different in itself.
Well, I think go ahead.
All in all, Kellen, we're just not going to have the winner-takes-all finale that we all wanted, and it's sad.
Oh, we definitely are in 250 East.
It's not the same.
No, I'm just saying, you're right. It is a bit of a bummer. Well, obviously, if you're Webb, you're not bummed. If you're a Webb fan, you're not bummed. But I think from the fans' perspective, it would have been really cool to see them at least close. Like, if not a winner-take-all, like the chance that Sexton win and a Webb third could change it up or something. But even now, if Webb gets second next week, he has to get seventh at the finale with a Sexton win, sixth, something like that. So
all I know is that if Chase goes 1-1 in the next 2 weeks and Webb goes 3-3, then that's enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Webb is finishing third with 2 crashes in my mind.
Mm-hmm. No, it's certainly Webb's to lose at this point. Like we've been saying that, Chase he controlled his own destiny. He could win this out and win the title, but now it is definitely Webb's to lose. Like Sexton can't do anything about that other than just hope that Webb makes a mistake.
On the flip side, though, Kellen, I did say this on my review pod. There is no crown. There is no crown. So let's back it down. There is no crown. There's racing to go. There is no crown.
Well, I'm glad that you take that mindset because I know that, as you had mentioned in the past episode last week, I believe that like you just wanted this thing to go to the end and you don't want to get to the point where we get to boring topics because there's no championship fight.
Well, honestly, it is right though, isn't it? Like imagine if Chase had won and Cooper got second again. We would be deep in a hole right now debating the shit out of this. But there is no crown.
There is no crown.
There is no crown. A la Ryan Dungey in 2017, Phoenix.
Hell of a ride, nonetheless, by Cooper Webb. 30th career win, too. Insane.
Yeah, and I think I thought about this. I do remember us having a conversation mid-season where we talked. I remember you saying to me, if Webb gets to 30, and I remember saying, I think he'll do that this year. I don't think it's even an if in his career, and here he is.
But it was almost not going to happen if Chase could win out. So,
and there is no crown.
There's no crown. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic goes from here. We'll see what happens in Denver. Hey, big thanks to Leatt. Leatt Protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And what I'm still confused about to this second is whether or not that Justin Hill was wearing like a Leatt brace or some Leatt underprotector of some kind under his jersey because he came out in the Pittsburgh Steelers number 46 jersey. I forget the gentleman's name that he wore, and it looked big on him. I don't know why. It looked like he was wearing pads, but apparently he was not. So, but yeah, Leatt.
You actually went and found out about this?
I just heard that he was not wearing anything else. I didn't hear it from like the best source ever, but
seems suspect.
Seems suspect indeed. Okay, my second topic of the day for you, Big Lou. I spoke to a former racer after the race. I will not name names, but this person said...
Talon Voland.
This person says that this...
I think that was right.
No.
Oh.
This person says that this is why Tom Vialle is a champion right here. He has a mindset, unlike others in the field, comparatively around him, that makes him a champion in and of itself. And the comparison was, I mean, he's had all these crashes, he's had all these big moments. He had every reason to believe things were not going to go his way. He wasn't even doing the main rhythm line in the first rhythm section out of turn one. And all told, he still figured out a way to win this main event and now has a championship lead going into the finale. So basically my question is that, Lewis, is this the most obvious sign that we've seen this season that Tom Vialle definitely has the championship mindset, maybe more so comparative to others around him?
I think that you could argue. Well, this was kind of what I was arguing after rounds one and two, that I could see Tom just 2-2, 4-5, 3-2 his way to the title. And although that sounds like saying he's not good enough to win, that's actually indicative of someone who kind of knows what the path to a championship is. It's funny. Take away Foxborough, which is a controversial result somewhat in itself. He'd be far and away comfortable, and there wouldn't even really be much of a debate heading into Salt Lake City. So that also shines a spotlight on just how steady he's been this year. And again, steady sounds negative, but actually that's what you need to win a championship. It's almost, we just get distracted by the flashy toys and all of that sort of stuff, whereas Vialle is all reliable. And you know, how old's Vialle?
24?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me Google it. No, I think you're right. I think he is 24. But either or, he is going to end. Yeah, he is 24. We are going to end up in a scenario here potentially where Tom Vialle at 24 is a two-time world champion and a two-time Supercross champion. That's a seriously. I think that pedigree goes up against most others. Porcel, not as good. Like there's a lot of guys. Marvin. Yeah, not Marvin. No,
Two-time world champion, but one-time Supercross champion.
Yeah, and it took him a lot longer to get to the one-time Supercross championship.
It did.
Let alone, I think Vialle would potentially have two in a time it took Marvin to get one. So, yeah, all of this just points to the fact that Vialle is the full package, and we all need to do a better job of not only acknowledging that, but singing his praises.
Yeah, and look, he hasn't won this title yet. Obviously, things can go wildly different in the finale, but even just the fact that he's got it to this level again speaks volumes of what he's able to do within his own head, in my opinion, to lock back in to do this thing, because the crash in practice was, I mean, a lot of guys would have just not necessarily packed it in, but been like, yeah, I'm going to take a fifth tonight. And he absolutely just did not do that. He locked into a different zone. And to me, I wasn't like there. You were there, but to me, it felt a little bit like the way that he kind of locked back in to win the last 4 motos of 2022 against Yago, where like he needed to claw points back by the handful to even get back into it in the first place, and he just figured out a way to go back to being Tom Vialle of old. That kind of felt a little bit like the same watching that in Pittsburgh. Not obviously like the same dynamic, but just the fact that when he had to do it, he did it. Like, he rose to the occasion when necessary. And I think that's, again, yes, RJ has a championship, but no one else in this class has done this before. The fact that Vialle has this experience to lean on, 2022 is a perfect example of that, I think helps out so much more when the pressure is on in these situations.
Yeah, I've heard a few people talk about how Salt Lake City last year, he wasn't good. He barely qualified into the main through the heat, et cetera, et cetera. But he still got it done, and like you said, similar to Turkey, he was never good in Turkey. That just wasn't his place. But he still turned up to that tiebreaker with Yago in 2022 and found a way to go 1-1. So there is, I think if you're Seth or RJ, you're heading into Salt Lake thinking to yourself, I've got this guy covered as far as speed goes, but I don't quite know what he's got up his sleeve and how he's going to maneuver his way into a situation. And that unknown in a rival can be quite intimidating, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I think... No, go ahead.
It also just changes the entire outlook of the season, because Vialle has copped a lot of shit for not winning a race up until this point, but he's now got the same number of wins as RJ. And he's one shy of being the winningest rider in the class. You know, like, it really changes the entire outlook. He needed that win just to make people wake up, maybe, and see it's not been a bad season, despite the common consensus being that it's been a terrible season.
As an extension to them rolling into the championship, between Tom, RJ, and Seth, who do you feel actually has the most pressure on them?
I don't know. All of them? Would there be one person? I'd say RJ just because he's RJ.
Yeah, I would tend to lean RJ, but it may sound stupid. I don't actually feel like either of them really have that much pressure on them. As dumb as that sounds, because I think if you're Vialle, you can look at this as like, if I lose the title, I get to stay down and have one more year of 250 Supercross to develop. He'll probably race West. It would be my guess, just to be 100% ready across all the coasts for when he goes to 450s in 2027. Or if he wins the title, he's a 2-time Supercross champion. It probably locks in a deal with KTM to move up to a 450, would be my guess. And bam, no problem. So like either way, he kind of wins, if you will. If you're RJ, okay, last 250 race, of course you want to go out on top. That'd be great. But you have a 450 deal. You're signed, sealed, and delivered. Things are going to go great for you moving forward beyond that, and you're probably going to get surgery anyway, or maybe you will. So I don't, like, for him, obviously he wants to win this race to go out on top, but he's already kind of set in stone. And then for Seth, to even be here in the first place is kind of like, yay, because otherwise it's been crash fest and injuries and all this stuff. So this was supposed to be a building year. We weren't supposed to be here, and here we are with a chance to win the title. And if you lose it, you kind of maybe weren't expecting to be there in the first place.
Yeah, that's glass half full, though, for all of them. Glass half empty is, Seth, you weren't expected to be here, and you came so tantalizingly close. What a bummer. This could have been yours. RJ, last year you pulled it off in Salt Lake City. You didn't manage to this year. What the fuck? You did it last year. Just do that again. And Tom, you had the red plate coming into the last round and you lost the championship. You were in the driver's seat. How could you blow this? You know, I'm not saying those are my theories with any of that, but that's the opposing view. You know, that's your version was very much sunshine and rainbows and like a Disney film.
Well, I think that my version is to some degree what they're probably thinking about this week. I would, because like
No, because
the best.
all of that, because you're looking at it incorrectly, because all of those factors are important, yes, but for a racer, all of that is just out the window, because it's like, I have a shot at a championship, I want the championship. No one,
I get that.
RJ's not sat at a baker's factory today going, RJ, do you want the championship? Well, it would be good, but I've got my future secure, and security is important. In this day and age, the economy is difficult. So, just to have a secure future is a blessing, and a title would be a bonus, sure. No.
No, I understand that, and I'm not saying that they're saying this to take the prestige out of it, if you will. I'm saying this because the best that all three of those guys are going to ride is when they're still loose and not thinking about this too much. If they start thinking about the pressure that's associated with maybe winning this title going into the finale, they're going to either ride over their head and that causes problems, or get within their head too much and slow down. So I think that to stay loose, to take the pressure off, they're going to be like, it's okay. This title is important. I want to win it. But if I don't, it's also not the end of the world.
I completely disagree. I think that every racer is heading into a Salt Lake City winner takes all finale, and they are all thinking, fuck me, I want to do everything in my power to win this championship. I'm going to be so pissed if I don't take this.
Well, I think RJ's probably actually said those exact words.
I don't think it's even possible to occupy a different mindset. I think that's human nature. That's racer mindset. That if you're in this position and you're chasing a championship and you're this tantalizingly close, yeah, that's just going to be what you feel. Like Tom and RJ aren't going to be broing down in the tunnel going, "Oh no, you should win it. No, you should win it. No, you should win it. You deserve it. No, I don't deserve it. I've got a deal. Well, I've got a deal as well." No. They're all just going to be
saying that.
No, but they're all going to be point blank. They are all going to be so fixated on winning this championship and want it more than anything else in the world. And if they lose it, nothing will soften the blow. They will be pissed and gutted. There is no consolation prize. And as a friend in Salt Lake City, actually, you're not going, are you? Well, maybe it's good you're not going, because as a friend, I was going to say, please don't interview these riders after the race and go, hey, man, you lost the championship, but that future's secure.
That's not what I was going to say.
Really liking how your outlook is from here on out.
See, this is you've taken my words and twisted them again.
No, this is kind of what you were saying.
No, I'm talking about the ways that they can take pressure off of themselves.
That wasn't what you started this conversation as. You pivoted
That's not what
I
said. No, I started this conversation as this is the championship mindset of Tom Vialle. And I think that that's also part of championship mindset, is the ability to not overthink this going into the finale. If all you do is go into the finale and think like, my life is over if I don't win this race, that sets you up for failure too. Like you have to find the levels to balance this out.
As racers, that is going to be where their mind goes, because they want this more than anything.
Well, I think that it'll be different. It'll be interesting to see the mindset plays coming into this. Obviously,
Vialle
they'll be
going
interviewed.
to fist bump him on the line, and Vialle's going to go, "Hey, man, looking forward to 2026."
You're twisting the words of it again.
No, the Salt Lake City race is important, though, Tom. Hey, man, how about 2027? No, but this is that's what you've just said.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. My theory that I said with it was that each of these guys have reasons that it's not the end of the world. And I'm not saying that that's what they're saying to themselves. I'm trying to talk about how they're
end of their world. There is no other thing. They want this more than anything.
From an overhead viewpoint, do you agree or disagree that all of these guys are going to be okay beyond this race?
But that goes without saying.
That's all I'm saying, Lewis. That's all I'm saying.
Shit topic. Hey, guys. We also haven't clarified this. If Chase Sexton doesn't win this title, he will be okay. Guys, everyone listening, guys, he's going to be okay. I realize that the comments right now are probably like, is Chase Sexton going to have to retire? He's going to be okay. And also, just to clarify to everyone, Justin Cooper hasn't won a race. He's not going to be the champion. He's actually been mathematically eliminated. He too will be okay. I just want to clarify that because this is the topic we're doing here, apparently. Malcolm Stewart hasn't won this championship. He's been mathematically eliminated. He's out of contract. He's going to be okay.
See, you've flipped this way too wrong in the other direction.
This is what you were saying.
That's not what I was saying.
I stand by what I've said. For these riders, this is their world. This is more than they will want this more than anything, and there will be no consolation prize. If you say to RJ in 4 months' time, "Hey, you lost that championship, but hey, are you excited about 450s?" He'll go, "Yeah, I'm excited about 450s, but I'm fucking pissed about that championship still." Okay. You know, like you can't. I understand.
I'm not saying they are not caring about this.
I understand your point of trying to tell yourself that, but that's irrelevant. That won't matter or work for them. It just won't. If you like, it just won't. It just won't.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not what the point I was making, but disregard that because we're going to move on to our third
your
topic.
point has changed like 17 times.
No, it hasn't.
And none of them have worked for you.
Okay. Whatever. It has not changed since the start of it. I still think Tom Vialle's got the mindset of a champion, and I think that's all part of it. This is exactly the point I was making. Anyway, let's move into our third topic. Big shout out to the Partzilla PRMX program for backing the show at Partzilla.com. They are the premier OEM parts dealer distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And the 450 boys both got into the main event this week. Mitchell Harrison 17th, Cade Clayson 21st, and Jack Chambers 18th in the 250 East Division. But big up for them to get their 450 guys right into the main event this week. Cade is back.
Yeah, I'm impressed that Cade is this good this early, to be honest. And PRMX really had 8 and 9 locked down in that heat race. It was domination. If you're going 8 and 9, you're not far off of 1 and 2.
I mean, the steps are there. The steps are there. No, but thanks for them for backing the show, and now we get to see Hunter Yoder. Final West race for him coming up this weekend in Denver before the showdown. All right, my third topic, as I mentioned to you, Big Lou, very excited for this one because it's a new topic, a new game segment that I'm bringing to the Facet. And now that you're completely pissed off,
you've really pissed me off.
It's time to bring the level back down, decompress for a minute, and let's have a little bit of a fun debate on this. Okay, shall we? Okay, so this topic is called Pick the Career. And here's how I'm going to pitch this to you, Lewis. I'm going to give you statistics on 2 riders, and we'll rigmarole back and forth through them. And at the end of this all, I'm going to have you guess which riders you think both of them are, and then we'll pick whose career you would have chosen, okay?
What? So you're not going to tell me the riders. You're going to make me. Nope. You're going to list like their achievements. I have to then guess for riders, and then after that, I have to pick which rider I would.
No, we're going to pick. We're going to pick which career you would have chosen, and then we'll guess the riders at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay. So, rider A in this. Ready? Rider A has 141 career 450 Supercross starts, 1 win. Rider A has 110 450 MX starts, 0 career wins. The highest SX season finish for this rider, they did it twice, was 3rd. The highest MX season finish for this rider was 2nd. They did that once. They rode for 2 factory teams. One team that they rode for was for 6 years. And this rider also has 5 career 250 SX wins and 3 career 250 MX wins. That is rider A.
I honestly have no idea who that is.
Okay. Rider B. And I'll also let you have some. I'll give you some hints too. Okay.
Okay. It's too much information for me to process.
Do you want me to give you less info on rider B?
No, but I'm saying I can't even remember the 450 part of that rider's career.
Okay, rider B, 193 450 SX starts, so 52 more starts than rider A. Also 1 career win. Rider B had 89 450 MX starts, so 21 less starts than rider A, but also had 0 wins. Rider B's highest SX season finish was 4th, and their highest MX season finish was 7th. Rider B rode for 3 factory teams, although 2 of them have asterisks because they're questionable factory teams. And the longest tenure he spent with 1 factory team was 4 years. Rider B has no 250 SX or MX wins to their name, but they do have 3 450 MX podiums. Would you like to rehash any of these guys, or would you like to pick a career?
So much information there. Honestly, that was just a lot of words and numbers.
I'll give you hints too if you need hints.
Okay, give me hints.
Rider A or B, who do you want hints on?
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. Okay, Rider A is a Motocross of Nations champion.
Give me Rider A's numbers again, quicker.
Okay, Rider A's numbers. 141 450 starts, 1 career win. 110 450 MX starts, no wins. But I believe he did win 3 motos. Highest SX season finish was 3rd. He did that twice. Highest MX season finish was 2nd. He did that once. He rode for 2 factory teams. 1 factory team he's most known for sure. He rode for that team for 6 years straight.
I feel like I should know this, but I'm focused. I think I might be focusing on the wrong time era, maybe, because for some reason I'm really obsessed with this being someone around 2004.
I can give you hints on time era for both of them.
Okay.
Okay, they both raced each other a lot. They both started their careers after the year 2000. And I'm trying to think if I want to... Okay, yeah, I'll say this too. Rider A's career lasted 16 years. Rider B's career lasted 20 years. From pro debut to final race.
Both American.
Both American. Do you want to pick a career yet, or do you need more hints?
Oh, I think both careers sound good, to be honest.
Yeah, but which one was better is basically what I'm trying to get at.
Well, again, I probably should have been writing this down.
Here's why I'm trying to pull this back a little bit, because I feel like if you just say the riders' names, people would immediately be like, oh, I think I would take that guy. But if you pull this back and you look at statistics and break that down a little bit, it's kind of more interesting.
Did you say one of the rider had 0 450 wins but 1 outdoor win in 450s?
Neither rider has an outdoor win.
Okay, so it's not Tedesco.
One of them has 1 moto win for sure, and I believe the other one has 3 moto wins. I think. I did not do the moto win synopsis.
For some reason, Brayton is hovering around my mind, but that's also wrong because of the 250 stats on Rider A, and I can't even remember Rider B.
Do you want more Rider B stats
and also
again?
the Nations thing. Did you say both riders won the Nations?
Nope. Rider A was the only rider that has won Motocross of Nations. Rider B
Okay.
was never on the team.
Well, so 2005 was Wyndham, Tedesco, Carmichael. It's none of them. 2006 was Villapoto, Tedesco, Stewart. It's none of them. 07, Ferry, Carmichael, Villapoto, none of them. 08, Stewart, Villapoto, Ferry, none of them. 09, Dungey, Weimer, Tedesco, none of them. Although for some reason I'm still obsessed with Tedesco. 2010 was Short. Hold on. One of them, Andrew Short.
Do you want me to give you answers to this, or do you want to pick a career first? Because that was what I wanted to do.
One of them's Andrew Short. Did you say 1 450 win? It's one of them's Andrew Short. Rider A is Andrew Short.
Do you want to pick a career first?
No, Rider A is Andrew Short. Final answer.
Okay, final answer. Rider A is Andrew Short.
Yes.
You're correct,
Right,
sir.
Rider
Rider
B.
A is Andrew Short.
Rider B. Repeat Rider B to me.
Rider B, 193 450 starts, 1 win. 89 450 MX starts, 0 wins. Highest SX season finish was 4th. Highest MX season finish was 7th. Rode for 3 factory teams. 2 of them have asterisks because they were not technically the factory team, but more or less were. 0 lights SX or MX wins, but 3 450 MX podiums. Do you want hints on Rider B?
Yeah, give me a hint.
Rider B had most of his career success in a different country, I would say.
I don't know if this is cheating, but I'm just looking at my 2025 Supercross spreadsheet. It's a current ride. Wait, are both of these riders retired?
Both of these riders are retired.
Okay. Repeat the numbers again for B. I need to really fucking lock in because this is a lot of information.
Yeah, I'm going to add another little hint in here, okay? Rider B had 193 450 SX starts. He won 1 time. He had 89 450 MX starts. He won 0 times. He was active from 2002 to 2022. His highest SX season finish was 4th. His highest MX season finish was 7th. He rode for 3 factory teams, 4 years with the longest tenured factory team he rode for.
I really like the sound of this being Brayton still, but it's not because the results don't add up. But I just like some of it. Some of it works
What
for me.
doesn't add up to you?
You didn't say he'd won a 450 main, did you?
I did say 193
Oh,
starts.
it's too much
1 win.
information. So is it Brayton then?
Is that your final answer?
Well, yes, because the fact that I said it sounds like Brayton to me, but it isn't, and you went, why doesn't it? Says to me that you were concerned that you had fucked something up. So yes, Brayton is my final answer.
Rider B is Justin Brayton.
For some reason, from the very first moment, Brayton and Tedesco were standing out to me, and I don't know why. Something about something.
My other stats that I had included. So one of the hints that I put for Brayton was won a lot of titles in another country. He won 5 times in Australia.
Well, that's a very big diversion. Having most of your success in another country would have made me think of GPs, or wouldn't have made me think of like. I mean, it's right, but it's not right because Brayton did a lot here. But it wouldn't have made me think as like of Aussie Supercross. It would have made me think
in terms of
like,
championship success. He has 5 of them in Australia. So that's.
I'm just saying it would have made me. It would have made me think of like. It did make me think of like full time in another country, which is was also throwing me off.
My other hint that I was going to give you for short is when he retired, he went racing in off road.
No, that probably would have given it away.
Yeah.
Also, I obviously again. I knew it wasn't it because the numbers weren't lining up. But before you gave me the periods, Ferry also was on my mind as just like, and also Lusk at one point hopped to mind. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to do this again at some point. So
okay, well next time tell me to bring a pen and a bit of paper because.
Okay, I will. Gosh, all right. I didn't know you needed to write stats down.
So there's a lot for me to remember.
2 careers. Which one is the better one?
Oh, I've got a Brayton.
Yeah, like no, not even a question mark.
I'd go Brayton.
Okay, interesting. Because Shorty finished higher in SX and MX more often than not than Brayton did. He just didn't get as many wins. He had more podiums.
I think Brayton will be remembered for longer and better.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. It's been a long time since Shorty raced now, though. It's almost been a decade.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The 2 factory teams I had for Shorty was obviously 6 years with factory Honda, 1 year with Red Bull KTM. Brayton, where I was confused, I actually lifelined to get help on this.
This also confused me because, again, one of my first thoughts was Brayton, but then IO2 was like, well, hang on, do you count JGR as a factory team?
This is where I was confused, too. Yeah. He definitely raced for factory Honda. You can't beat around the bush there. The other 2 teams are like, who knows, man? JGR was his longest tenured factory team. There was no factory Yamaha team. The people I asked for help said that they would consider JGR factory for those years.
Who did you ask?
I'm not going to tell you. And then,
why would you tell me that?
Who do you think I asked?
Steve?
And JT and Weege, yeah. And then the other factory team was Jägermeister KTM.
Yeah, see, I would count. I wouldn't count JGR, but I would count KTM because that was just the factory. That was the factory team. That's as black and white as HRC. Well, no, that's as black and white as HRC. In my mind,
it's not that black and white. They did not have full factory support here, though.
Factory team, was it not?
It was, but there's also the part of this where Tommy Searle could get out of his contract because it was not a factory team. So
that's true.
So, but yeah, you would pick Brayton.
Yeah,
I think I'd pick Short.
Well, that's why you're not on Race Day Live and I am.
Probably. No, but that was a fun game. If in the future, though, do you want me to change anything up about how I would pitch this to you?
No, I just need the information. I need to be able to write the information down because there was a lot of numbers and...
Okay, how about maybe this is what I'll do. In the next one that I do this, I'll have all the information ready to go in an email, and then when we start the topic, I'll just email you, so you just have the list of info. And then I'll keep the hints to myself and stuff like that.
That would help because then I could see it because I kept losing track of where you were. Also, never do like a 1980s rider.
No. I'm trying to keep it more like present around the eras that we know. But I figured that would be a fun one to start with because, to be honest, I think that's about like the most like well-known guys I'll give you. From here on out, we're going to probably get into more weeds than that.
Brilliant. So the guessing will be near impossible.
I don't know. I think that would be fun, though, from a fan standpoint watching, is that now they can get involved and try to guess too.
That's true.
All right. Second half of the show coming up before we get into it. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern to vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. Again, thanks to Racetech for backing the show. What is your topics today, Big Lou?
Well, we're going late, so I'll try and pivot and only do 2 here. Well, actually, I've got a little bonus topic, which will only be like 2 minutes. We should talk about Haarup.
We should.
I thought actually you would have that on your list. Confirmed as part of Triumph Factory Racing for the outdoors. He's in for the full season. Even once Leatt comes back, they will run 5 riders. Sorry, if everyone's healthy, which, truth be told, probably unlikely. He's going to be really, really good. I do believe. I think that he can. I've bet with Dan Truman that he will finish on the overall podium once. Truman says no, I said yes, which I don't think is that crazy. I wouldn't even be surprised if he wins a moto at some point. I'm not calling anything championship-wise because he's never really been that sort of guy. So points-wise, I'm out. Like 9th, 10th, whatever. But as far as individual race speed and raw potential, he has a lot of it. So I think he is a very exciting addition to pro motocross.
I 100% agree with everything you just said right there, and I would almost give him the same accolades. I think he could win a moto. I think he will get on the podium at some point. And it's awesome to have him as part of the series because it just totally adds another element that many people probably wouldn't even expect. Like, what I thought was really weird about it is when it got announced and I tweeted about it, so many people replied, "Who?" Like, they had no idea.
It's really sad.
It is kind of sad, but it's also maybe just like an emphasis of how little GP knowledge kind of everyone has.
Yeah, but like you know the names, don't you? Even if you know nothing about them, you've seen the name Mikkel Haarup on Instagram, mentioned on Twitter. You've seen it somewhere, surely.
I mean, maybe not. It makes me wonder now if in the future you take all the the KTM guys out of the picture in this regard. But if like Thibaut Benestant came over at some point, I feel like that same thing would happen. And Benestant's won races there. So
yeah, true.
Like I think that it just shows that if you're not like constantly winning in GPs, the American fans are kind of not all there with that. But yeah, Haarup is, for those of you that have no idea, he's as solid as they come in GPs. A top 5 kind of staple guy for the most part. How many podiums does he have? 2, 3?
I'm actually just looking that up. He has had 7.
Oh, 7. Oh, he must have had more than when he rode Cowie?
He had 1 in 2020, 4 in 2022, and then 2 on Triumph last year.
No, the 2022 was Cowie, right, Dixon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't remember those Cowie years as fondly, I guess. But yeah, no, he's very fast. To me, like, I don't look at him, and I said this in our group chat, but I don't look at him as one of those guys that he's like, oh, he's a smooth, fluid Euro. Like, he's kind of got like more of the aggressive style of the Americans even down pat a little bit. Like, kind of got some good scrubbing technique and things like that not everyone always associates with the Euros. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be flashy. And as you've mentioned a few times, I think even on this pod, he's very personable. He's a funny guy. I think the fans will really like his personality as well. And overall, just a good dude to have here.
Yeah, he will have a lot of fans. He will pick up a lot of fans very quickly. I'm certain of that. To give everyone an idea, after 5 rounds of 2022 MX2, Haarup, who was on a Dixon Kawasaki, which is not comparable to a factory team, he was 3rd in the MX2 championship behind Vialle and Gertz and ahead of Lagenfelder and De Wolf. So those are names that everyone will recognize. And they were all factory riders at the time. And he was 3rd in that championship after 5 rounds. So that gives you a very clear indication of just how good he can be. And yeah, I don't think that my bet of him finishing on the podium once with a 6-3 or a 7-2 or something along those lines is crazy at all. I think that's more than achievable for him. Now, of course, it's a very deep field, and you could say the same about 12 different riders, maybe. But I think, I certainly think it's on the cards. It would be almost a disservice to sit here and say that he isn't capable of getting on the podium.
Oh, I agree. I'm with you right there for sure. The one thing I will ask about him, though, and it's been a question raised by many, is should he be concerned at all about having never raced these tracks? Because obviously people will go to talking about what Tom Vialle did his first season here when everyone thought he should be a title contender, and it kind of didn't work out that way. I'm less so concerned about that. I don't know why. Like, to me, I feel like Vialle had struggles that I didn't expect of him, and I don't expect of Haarup. But what do you say?
Well, as you alluded to, I think Haarup has a much more American style than Vialle, so that will help him. He's much more balls to the wall. Equally, does it not help Haarup that he's not, well, maybe he is, but he's not coming in with the same championship pressure and expectation as Vialle would? So maybe it's a little more just like, for instance, yes, Vialle was not a championship contender and it didn't work out that way, but he had his days. And really, all we're looking for from Haarup is for him to have his days. We're not really having a championship conversation. So that makes me less concerned about the struggles that Vialle had. Now, if we were talking about whether Haarup would win the championship, of course, then that would factor in more so. But if the conversation is strictly, will he have his day in the sun, then yes, I think he will. At some point, it will click at Southwick or Red Bud or, yeah, it's possible at any of those. Do you think he'll be the top Triumph rider outdoors? I say yes.
Part of me wants to say yes, but I actually rate Jordan pretty highly outdoors based on what I saw last year.
I think they'll be very similar.
Yeah, like I don't look at Jordan. I think actually Haarup has a better chance at winning a moto and or like getting on a podium, as you said. But I kind of see Jordan as like overall having a little bit more consistent rides and just being like a sixth place dude a lot. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that. I don't know why, but like I think Jordan is actually very solid outdoors and probably deserves a little bit more respect. I need to see Austin Faulkner outdoors before I make any guesses on that. No idea, really.
I think that's going to be hard. I really do think that's going to be a big struggle, and it probably should be based on his lack of time.
Yeah, and then I think his style is going to be back for the first round, and then Jalek won't be back till later in the season. So yeah, I would. It's going to be Haarup versus Smith to me for top guy, but I don't know championship wise, maybe Smith. Race wise, Haarup. That's fair to say.
Pour one out for the Triumph PR guy who's going to have to write about 5 riders.
At some point.
Just pour one out for him because...
Yeah, well, I hope he's okay.
I don't think he will be.
Haarup,
pour one out for him. But Haarup is good. Haarup will be great. Haarup will be an exciting addition to the series, and Outdoors is stacking up to be great. Next topic, not really a real topic, kind of a little sidebar that has become my little quest in life. It is weird. I'm not even going to ask a question. It is weird that Supercross is the only motorsport in the world where we don't hand out the trophies.
Oh, here we go.
It's weird. We have the trophies there and we kind of just go, hey, Webb, you just won the race. Go and get your trophy and we'll do a little photo. That's weird. And I'm surprised this hasn't come up until now. It's weird. Why are we not doing like a podium ceremony? Why is it so quick?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a good answer to it. To me, I think maybe part of why they do it the way they do is because they need to get the photos done and all that stuff for ad purposes, and obviously all the manufacturers love having.
Do a photo.
But here's why. In Supercross, like outdoors, the last 250 moto ends at 350-ish, let's say. And the gate will not drop for 450 Moto 2 until 407, sometimes 410. So you have like a 20-minute window for sure that you're going to be able to get like all that presentation and interviews and podium ceremonies and all that stuff in before the gate would drop on the 450 Moto. And I think every track, the podium is nowhere near the start. Trying to think. Well, Red Bud is. But for the most part, like they're not mixed together. Whereas the 250 podium is almost always right next to the start of the 450 race. And so they're trying to cross over each other. They're trying to get everyone in and out of there as fast as they can. And before the parade lap goes and the starts and all that stuff, they got to get the interviews off so that doesn't block on TV. And I think usually they're doing the podium pictures and stuff like that as the parade lap is going on. So clearly they have a tight window to fit this all in. Maybe that's why they don't take extra time to then hand the trophy out too, because they're like, we got to get the photos in. We got to get these guys their trophies. We got to do the post-race interviews. We don't have time to also walk someone out on stage and hand a trophy in.
But even when someone wins the championship, yes, we present the number 1 plate, but as far as I know, the championship trophy, it's just like, yeah, there it is. Go get it.
No, I believe Pelletier hands them a trophy too.
No, I think he just does the number 1 plate.
I can't remember, but he definitely handed Tomac a trophy in 22. Trying to think anything since then.
It's weird. Because it's like, okay, 250s, whatever, I don't really care. But 450s, Like, we should. I mean, it makes for good photos as well because you present to third place and third place goes, hey, you know?
Yeah.
And then let's do it. Let's go all out. Let's do a national anthem as well for the winner. Why
Yeah, that'll
not?
go over really well in all these American stadiums when we have like the German national anthem for Kenny ripping.
Yeah, but he deserves it.
Yeah.
And also, while we're at it, so that's an easy fix. We can fix that for Lewis quite easily because all you got to do is just get someone to hand out the trophies. It will take 2 minutes.
You
If
can
we
do
wanna
it.
I would do it. If we want to take it a step further, we never sell out these stadiums really. So, don't sell the seats behind the starting line. Let's do an MXGP skybox, but instead of having the podium facing out to the track a la MXGP, let's have it flipped around and facing the crowd, and then the crowd at the end of the night can run round to the podium and effectively be eye level with it. Then you do your ceremony, they can be sprayed with champagne, you do your national anthem, bish bash bosh. It's a really special thing.
I like that idea for sure. The one
I'm
thing
sure
I
they
would
can build a skybox as well. I'm
Well,
sure
what
they've
I
got
would
it.
change it, what I would change about it maybe is I always think it's dumb that we have a backdrop full of sponsors. Like, I'm sorry, sponsors, not for nothing, but that's just a dumb aesthetic.
Well, it's the same in every sport.
Not F1, not really.
Yeah, no,
F1,
no,
it's like a
F1.
video board.
No, I don't think so because I definitely remember seeing a podium from F1 this year and thinking to myself, Louis Vuitton have clearly paid a lot of money for the podium because the podium was essentially a Louis Vuitton podium.
Okay, so yes, they do have like one sponsor behind them, maybe like a Ramco or Santander, but usually it's like just a video board or some sort of, like their flags behind them or the F1 logo itself. But either way, I think
So
what
you're
you could do with that, huh?
You tried to downplay it there, but you were wrong.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm wrong. There's not 150 sponsors, there's one.
Well, no, but same thing. Still sponsors. Still a
Anyway,
solid spot.
I think if you're going to do that skybox thing that you mentioned, you leave the top of it like empty. And so they maybe do the podium ceremonies like either looking out to the track or with the track in the background or something like that, and the flags are there.
Oh, you mean you leave it empty, you're just not having a background.
Right. And then afterwards, they could turn around and spray the fans or whatever so that the fans are there, the track is also there. You get both aesthetics, depending on where the photographers want to shoot from to get the cool shot. And then, yeah, like you don't have a big banner blocking half of the track for some areas of the people to look or whatever, too. So,
Yes, I think this needs some attention. The more I think about it, for how important and how amazing Supercross is, there needs to be more emphasis on like the celebration of winning one of these individual events rather than just being like, hey, there's your trophy, go get it.
yeah, well, I mean, look, Feld doesn't like us talking about it, but the fact that they handed out trophies at the wrong race earlier this year,
Yeah, but that happens.
not a good look. Sorry. I don't care about that happens. It's not a good look.
Yeah, but like in WSX, they gave the wrong trophy to the wrong person. Like it happens.
I'm sure Feld is going to be stoked to hear
No,
them.
but I'm
being
just thinking of other
corrected.
podiums. You know, there's always podium gaffes. Okay, F1 one year didn't the interviewer break the news that someone had won the world championship or something? Like it wasn't done in the correct way. You know, like the point being, there's always these little slip-ups. You can't judge people
Yeah.
for that.
I mean, that's fine, but I agree. Like, I wish there was a little bit more fanfare at the podium because there definitely isn't. No one really seems to put much effort into it down there. But
And, like,
I mean, at
just
the end of
I
the day,
I'm thinking from a TV point of view. If you are a relatively casual fan, it doesn't look like it's that big a deal, does it?
well,
Like, we
I
don't-
mean, if-
okay, let's go even simpler. Can we get steps so at least the winner is higher up? Can we just do
Well,
steps? That's the
I think they-
easiest addition.
you're right, but I think they don't even do that because so much stuff happens on the podium that isn't the podium. There's so many interviews and this guy come up here and get an award and this guy do that. And the champion always comes over the podium into opening ceremonies, for example. So like it's a multi-use thing. I agree with you. I agree with you on face value, but I think all the reasons why it won't happen is because of that.
There must be people like me who are casual fans who notice that like Webb, Chase, and J Cooper stood on the same level and be like, why don't they have steps for that? But it's not a podium. It's actually, by definition, it is not a podium. Because I think by definition, the podium is the steps. That is actually the podium part, I believe. There is no crown, and now there is no podium.
There is no crown. There's no podium. What else is there nothing of, Lewis?
I don't know.
A podium is a small platform on which a person may stand to be seen by an audience, as when making a speech or conducting an orchestra.
Okay, but that's more like lecturer podium. You know, they call that as well, don't they?
A structure consisting of 3 adjacent platforms of different heights on which the competitors finishing in first, second, and third places receive their awards.
Okay,
that's
well, from now, that's it. We are no longer referring to this as a podium.
Well, I mean, it is part of the definition of a podium, but yeah, you're right.
No, when someone says to me in an interview, yes, I went down to the podium, I'm going to go, no, sir. No, you
went
didn't.
down to the platform.
You did not go to the podium. That does not exist. No, Steve got his nets. I think this is going to be my thing.
The Lewis Phillips Memorial Podium Celebration.
Yep, I think this is going to be my thing. And the best thing about this is I've given tiers to it. If you want to do the very easy option, just get steps. Like, literally costs like $100. And it's not even hard work. If you want to go all out and really please Lewis, let's do the skybox thing and face the podium to the fans, have them eye level. Because that would, I mean, equally, thinking back to when I would go to Supercrosses as a fan, if I could have gone round to another section of the stadium and stood kind of face to face with like Carmichael when he was on the podium, that would have been sick.
Yeah. No, it would have been. You're right. I agree with you. I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't know. I'm proud of this observation.
I will tell you really quickly before we go to our very last topic. I want to thank Namura for backing the show, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2025 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. All right, Lewis.
I don't know. We're at an hour. Am I just going to do something dumb to drag us on?
You will. I know you will. Tell us.
Or should we just
call
it?
It's up to you. It's your show.
I'm not going to do a topic. I'm going to just do something that I think will really anger the fans. AI. Really becoming a big AI guy.
Okay.
When I now say to people, I'm just going to Google that quick, I do not, in fact, Google it. I head to ChatGPT. Said this to someone yesterday. I went, oh, hold on, let me Google that. And without thinking, I opened ChatGPT and I was like, oh my God, the definition of let me Google that has changed. So my question to you, Kellen, is are you an AI guy, or is it just me?
No, I'm an AI guy. I actually probably shouldn't say this, but I use AI to help with like content scheduling and stuff like that, like ideas, managing when I should post stuff, things like that.
Okay, I don't do that because I don't want to I want to be.
I mean, I still have a lot of original ideas, but I have so much stuff that like I'll just be like, here are some like video projects I'm working on. What would be the ideal way of presenting it, or like what would be the ideal way of posting it on a schedule?
Yeah.
So
okay,
and it helps come up.
I draw a very harsh line in the sand. I don't use it for anything involving my work because I want it to be. I don't like if someone says good article or something, and I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't my idea. I feel a bit shit.
Well, but, I'm not saying like I don't try to use it for ideas. I try to use it for planning, which is 2 different things in my opinion. But I agree with you that AI is a big of a problem with that. But on the flip side of that, there are a lot of people using it for all of those things that are getting ahead of us. Like, you know what's also pissing me off about AI? And this is a call to action by all the people watching. Please, for the love of God, stop fucking falling for the Facebook posts. Dude, it's out of hand. The amount of times that people will like re-quote something or something and be like, I saw Ken Roxon signed a $96 million deal with ESPN. And I'm like, please tell me you guys don't believe that. Like, please. And they still do.
I saw one last week there's going to be a Netflix documentary about Ken Ruxin, and it was named The Dirt Biker. And the cover image of it, obviously all AI, was the Dirt Biker was just basically written on top of a Roxon photo in like Times New Roman. So like, either take away the concept and everything, just by looking at the cover art, you're like, that's not real. And it had 75 comments or something. And I was like, well, let's see. Like, surely these comments are going to be people saying, this is dumb. Nope. There was one comment that said, this is dumb. The rest of them were motocross fans saying, can't wait for this. This is so sick.
Yeah, and then they'll tag they'll also be down there tagging their friends saying, like, can't wait to watch this with you and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, come on. Seriously. Like, this is
Are we certain that Malcolm has in fact got a documentary on ESPN Plus, and he didn't actually fall for an AI thing?
No, that is legit.
That would be great. Imagine if Malcolm has just fallen for an AI thing on a Facebook page and is just out here promoting something that doesn't exist. That'd be great.
That's the problem, though, is because I think a lot of people just assume AI is photos. Like, oh, AI generation of a photo or AI alteration of a photo. It's not, dude. AI is everywhere now. Like, it's articles, it's videos, it's everywhere. And because a lot of it is becoming borderline believable, like this thing with Malcolm has a documentary, other people should also have a documentary, people are falling for it hand over fist. Like, it's actually insane to me to see how many people are just like, oh yeah, that's legit, as I alluded to with the Facebook post. But like, it's scary.
Yeah, but it's like I've said before, we're a very weird sport because we have fans who like listen to this podcast and listen to Pulp who are super, super, super into it. Then we have casual fans who are like, don't maybe listen to podcasts and stuff, but follow it. And then we seem to have this weird segment of fans that would believe that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're not that educated, but I don't understand how they're believing this sort of stuff. It's weird. I feel like we have very different layers of fans compared to other sports. But yeah, AI, big AI guy. I like AI. I used it, like I went grocery shopping yesterday. Was trying to figure out, so I was taking photos of nutrition labels, sending it to ChatGPT, saying, what do you think about this? And I was going, Lewis, that's not really great for you. And I was like, okay, put it back. What do you think of this? Well, Lewis, actually, this is quite good. I was like, okay, I'll buy that.
You know, another thing that AI has become involved a little bit in is my wife, coming off of pregnancy, is trying to like get back into shape too. And she's also like coming up with workout plans and routines as well. And like AI will help a little bit with like keeping on schedule with that too. Like, okay, you burn this many calories, you've done this, we recommend you also do this and stuff too. So
yeah, I'm using it to like track protein and track. I didn't use it to come up with a workout plan, but I kind of use it to hold me accountable. Like, I've set ChatGPT to send me a message every day saying, have you gone to the gym yet? And then it's really good because I reply saying yes, and it says, proud of you. And I'm like, oh, thanks, ChatGPT.
Legitimately, do you think there's going to be a point in time where AI is like good enough that if you give them like qualifying, practice, heat race results, times, lap times, etc., and say, tell me what happens in the main event, it'll give you something? And I don't think it'll happen that way, but I'm saying like it'll give you something that like combining all that shit together, it actually is like, yeah, this is how the results will be by how much.
No, because but that's dumb because we like it's impossible to predict because you can't predict when someone's going to tip over. So there's elements at play, but like I bet it could write you a nice little practice report that just has the facts, which is where we need to the real world versions of us make a difference by having scoops and talking to people. And for instance, ChatGPT probably doesn't have a strong feeling on the podium at Supercross, but we can fill that gap.
Yep. No, that's good. Podiums and ChatGPT.
There is no crown and there is no podium. Please make the title of this episode, There Is No Crown.
Can I do no crown, no podium?
Sure. No, but okay. You've got to put there is no crown / podium. There is no crown / podium.
Well, Steve likes me to keep it short, so I don't know. We'll run it by.
There is no crown.
Okay, gosh.
I don't know.
All right. No, that was a good show, Lewis. Thanks for taking a little bit of extra time with me today. Hopefully people enjoyed our topics and our yelling and our guessing of which riders are which and our Mikkel Haarup and our podiums, our ChatGPT.
Just let's see what happens with the podium here moving forward.
All right, well, Denver's coming up. Pulp MX LCQ Challenge. That's going to be exciting on Friday. You guys will want to tune in at Verb Moto to that. And then round 16 of the championship from Denver as well on Saturday night. You excited to go back to Denver, Lewis?
I like Denver. I mean, let's be honest, the air has been let out of the series a little bit because 250 West is also fairly done. So, yeah, I mean, it would be a lot more exciting if we were still following this winner-takes-all potential, but it'll be all right.
All right. Well, I'm excited to go back to the city of Denver. Not excited at all to go back to that joke of an airport that they call a hub. So, yeah.
Okay.
See you in Denver in 4 days, buddy.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.